I don't know what the heck's going on here. This thing's not working today. Go live. Come on. This is frustrating. Come on. Come on. All right. Sorry about that. Apparently, you have to open up two screens in order to do the live stream. So I don't know what's going on here. LS, I am so sorry. I do apologize for anybody else who was in the chat just now. If only I could get other people to come by here. I don't know what's going on. Come on. Yeah. Get out of here. Go. Get out of here. No, get out of here. Go. All right. I'm so sorry. I had a whole bunch of people on there and I kind of goofed it up. I can't get this thing to work. I'm trying to get some people invited. And LS, if you don't mind me asking, what's your Gmail, man? I wanted to invite Just Days as well, but can't seem to. Yeah. Well, Mrs. West asks, at least you have your husband there as a backup, or at least you guys are each other's backup. So, yeah, I'm just gonna. I can't get this stupid thing to work, man. I want to invite some people. I don't know how you do that. I mean, I've got the stream key. I don't know if this is the right stream key, but yeah, LS, if you don't mind, go ahead and send me your email. LS, I want to get some other people invited here on this chat here. All right, thank you. All right, give me a second here. I'm going to get some people invited here. Yeah, that's one thing that's kind of frustrating here. They YouTube changed everything here. Oh, come on. All right. I hope. Nope. Come on. What are you doing here? Come on. What are you doing? Get out of there. I don't know if that's the right string key or not. I hope that is. I really do because it's not showing me for anything else. Nope. Oh, for crying out loud. Give me a second here. I got to try it again here. One second here. Hey, right now is not a good time. Can I call you back? Yeah, no worries. Bye. All right, bye. Oh my gosh. This is. Hey, LS, I sent you an email. It was a blank email. Send me an email back so that way I can respond to you, okay? Frank, how's it going, man? I'm so sorry. This thing went completely sideways. Come on. Stupid thing. Yeah, LS, just send me an email as soon as possible. I want to get more people invited. Like I said, I wanted to invite Just Aid, but I don't know. Not sure if he's aware that I'm doing the after show or not. Come on. Carol Washer. Yeah. Brian. All right. All right. Hopefully this is the correct key. I hope that's the right one. Please tell me that's the right one. Okay. Oh. LS, let me know if you're in here. Okay. Just say anything. All right. How do I pronounce it? Side dad or sides dad? But good evening to you too. Guys, I do apologize. This thing just completely bad. Bad stream. Side or Sid's dad. Oh, okay. Sid's dad, my bad. Frank, LS. Yeah, I want to get some people in here. I really do. All right, we're just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna go try to go off the cuffs here. But anyhow, I just want to talk a little bit about the national debt. Like I said, it's kind of a bit of a concern for me. Um, and my screen back here is falling asleep on me. I'm gonna get that woken up here. But as you can see on the top of the screen, we're United States here. We're number one in terms of national debt. Like I said, I brought this thing up last Thursday, and it was reading $164 billion. 164 billion. Now we're at 186. But yeah, and like I said, this is in real time. This just keeps going, keeps going. You know, I don't know about you, but like I'm a little concerned about what the heck's going to happen here. Whether they are going to when are they going to shut this faucet off? When is this money going to stop? When is it going to stop rolling in? When are they going to collect? That's what I want to know. Got to go to bed. Oh, okay. Huh. That's weird. I don't understand why it's not. You know what? I might need to get some like pointers from like Mr. West himself, because I've tried seeing if I can invite other people. I wanted this to be a decent stream because I can only do so much on my own. But anyhow, back to the debt. The thing that concerns me here, as I said, when they go turn all this money off, when are they going to start collecting here? Because most banks, okay, it's been my observation, most banks, when you become, like I said, I just want to let you know this money, it's owed to a private entity. It's owed to the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is not a public entity at all. Okay, this, like I said, the Federal Reserve is a combination of, was it like J.P. Morgan, Chase Bank, Rothschilds, I think Rockefellers, basically established back in 1913. Every single U.S. dollar bill ever printed it's ever been printed into existence. It is printed based on debt. It's not worth anything at all. So the thing that concerns me is what's going to happen when they say they're going to stop printing money. Like obviously this isn't printed. Like a lot of that's not printed. Most of that's electronic ones and zeros on a computer screen. But I just want to know what happens when they come to collect for this debt. You know, we're not going to be able to pay this off. We're gonna have to either get forgiven for this debt or something. Like what we're going to be debt slaves. That's what I want to know. That's what concerns me. This right here could be a reason why we have SHTF. Okay. Oh, yeah. Good night, LS. Federal Reserve, 1913, Jewel Island. Oh, what the heck? I thought it was called Jekyll Island. I thought that's what it was called, Jekyll Island. I don't know. Creature of Jekyll Island. Does that ring a bell? Yeah, but I mean, anybody else have any idea what might possibly happen here? I'm thinking a couple things are going to happen, other than the fact their currency gets completely debased and everything. But I'm thinking that somebody's going to come in. They're going to send in collections because, like I said, if you are more than 90 days delinquent on your payment on your vehicle or your house, you know, they put you in foreclosure on your house. They send out a collection agency to go take your vehicle if you don't turn it in willingly. So what do you think is going to happen to all of us? Honestly, I'm of the opinion that even if you are one of those people who own your house outright, have it all paid off, they might still use you, your home, whatever you own, your children's labor, your future generations' labor as what do you want to say? Collateral. Okay, as their way of getting what money that they owe. Now let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit of notes here. So obviously, all right, United States were number one. This screen is a little bit out of order here, but so these are the top 5 countries and the most amount of debt. United States obviously being number one at over $22 trillion. Japan at over 11 trillion. China at 9.2 trillion, or 61.9 trillion yuan. That's their currency. UK, they're at $3.5 trillion, or 2.6 or almost 2.7 trillion pounds in debt. France, 2.9 trillion dollars in debt. So I just want to know what's going to happen. What was it? I think what was it? President Andrew Jackson, who defeated the banks. You know, he got us out of debt. He paid off all those debt to the I think they were just European banks. And you know, Congress is the one that's supposed to be issuing the currency. So I don't know why we need this private entity to get us our currency. Why we need this private entity printing off all this money. I mean, all of us already know, you know, when the crap comes and hits the fan, this is going to make for some really lousy toilet paper, really lousy fire starter, and make some really ugly wallpaper. I I don't know. Like I said, I think it was after World War One. I think it might have been World War One. Could have been World War Two. No, I think it's World War One. The Germans, they printed off all those Reichsmarks, and they ended up debasing their own currency by printing off all this money to pay off their war debts. 40% of debt bonds and treasury bonds to China. I'm not so sure on that. Like I said, I think I just got done looking it up. Let me double check here. Yeah, according to Investopedia, China owns $1.1 trillion of United States debt. $1.1 trillion. Let's see. 2019 goal. Well, I don't know. Maybe not worldwide, but I'm thinking that something's going to happen. Let me see if I can't pull this up real quick here. Interesting. Oh, whoops. Wrong. Come on. Get back over here. All right. So, interesting thing. All right. So, we go to usdebtclock.org. They show our debt projections. Okay. So, we're going to go to the debt clock time machine here. Okay. So right now, this is 2019. That's what I'm on right now. It's where it says $22 trillion. We're going to go into the 2023. Okay. Let me see if I can't zoom that in. Nope. That's as much as it'll let me zoom it in. But the United States will be at over $27 trillion in debt. Be $81,000 in debt per citizen, per citizen in the United States. No matter your age, don't matter your race or gender, creed, don't matter if you're working or not. That's how much debt that we would owe, each individual United States citizen would owe in 2023. I remember back in, I think it was 2011. Where it was like, they said like the debt was like something like somewhere around the long lines of like, I think it was like $49,000 per person. But yeah. Can we start a new? That's what I've been. That's what I've been talking about. That's what What I've been under that impression. I've had that mindset for actually ever since high school. Can we? Can we not, just succeed from United States and start our own country? Can't the states individually just, split up from the union and, succeed from the union, become their own nations? I'm willing to, I'm gonna, I think I know the answer. The answer is probably no, because the South, they tried succeeding from the United States back in the 1860s, and that's what caused the whole Civil War. There's the whole cotton trade. The federal government wanted the South to send the cotton up north to the textiles, so that way they could turn it into to what do you want to call it, like semi-finished products that they could sell to to Europe for a bigger profit. But the South, they were finding that they were making just as good of a profit, if not better of a profit, by selling it as a raw material. So in spite of what history books might have, what you might have learned in history class back in school about, the Civil War is about slavery, we were trying to free the slaves. No, it had nothing to do with that. The slaves and all that, the slavery, that was an afterthought. In fact, I want to bring up another point here. They had made it so that way it was illegal to be importing slaves. I think, what was it, 1850s or something like that. That I know they had the United States had basically they'd set up like a privateer group that would intercept these slave ships that would try to illegally import more slaves. And the United States was coming to a close on anything to deal with slavery. Well, at least in that regards. But if you don't think we're not slaves now, I mean, you're kind of crazy. But anyhow, I'm getting kind of off topic here. Like I said, I would like to think that a person could form their own country. I would like to think that, Confederate States did succeed. They're still conquered territory till this day. See, like I said, don't know that. Like I said, don't know a whole lot about that. I do know the South is a little bit more independent minded in regards from the rest of the United States. like I said, I've been under the impression that I would like to be able to like renounce my citizenship to the United States, buy a piece of land, get it so that way it's like I said before I renounce my citizenship, have a piece of land, already have it so that way I'm self-sustaining, can produce my own electricity, my own food, produce my own security. You know, I think that that'd be the only way that I could get away. You know, like I said, possibly get out of the being underneath the jackboot thugs of these of the Federal Reserve here. Hey, Walter. Let's see, do what bankers want by printing them more money. Well, see, here's the problem though. Here's the problem. I think what was it like less than 8% of that money is actually in physical, like hard printed form. Like not, I don't even think actually it might be even less than that. It might be like 5% of that is actual cash. The rest of that's all ones and zeros on a computer screen. Like not I'm not joking with you. There would not be enough trees in the world to print all that cash. There wouldn't. And people who don't understand, just taking off the 22 trillion and just being left with the now it's 187 billion dollars, but to count all right, just so that way you can understand where I'm coming from with how much a billion, because it's really hard to quantify a billion or a trillion. It would take a person, if you started counting right now from one, right, start counting, okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just kept going, so on and so forth until you got to a billion. It would take you like I think like 37 years to count to that number. I'm not kidding you. 37 years. Okay. That's just $1 billion. Never mind the rest of the 187 billion and then the rest of the 22 trillion tacked on. Northerners were sent back to the South in the state Senate and vote back to the Union. Well, yeah, like I said, the other thing I do kind of find a little crazy too. Oh, give me a second. All right. Sorry, I'm back. Okay, here's something I find a little bit interesting about the South, because the South, I think, what was it, before and after the Civil War was primarily Democratic, but I think what the heck was his name? President Lyndon Johnson. He was the Democrat. I think he took in office after JFK got assassinated. But I mean, he made this comment. It was like, I'll have all these black people voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Essentially, he wants to keep them on the slave plantation, giving them all this free crap. They don't understand it's making them slaves. These people are on welfare in general don't understand it's making them slaves. All right. We got to go somewhere remote like Maine or Alaska. I would probably go, I don't know. See, on the one hand, I would prefer to go to Alaska versus going to Maine just because it's a lot more gun friendly. But at the same time, you ain't going to have a growing season. The same thing goes for Maine. There's really not there. You're not going to have much of a growing season up there either. You'd almost be better off. Geez, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I'd say probably Utah would probably be the more ideal place to go. That's where the Mormons went back when they were getting persecuted back in the 1830s by the U.S. government. Yeah, the U.S. federal government sanctioned basically murder and pillaging of the Mormons and the Mormons' property. And they all went up to they went up to the up to Salt Lake back in the 1830s. I'm thinking that Utah would be a good place to go. I mean, especially up there near the Salt Lake area, because that area, believe it or not, that area is completely green. And that state, I think it ranks, I think number 5 for the most friendly states in regards to firearms. Great Society welfare programs. Yeah, no joke. I can tell you one thing. I am proud to say not once have I ever partaken of any welfare. Not once. Not one time ever. Not for unemployment. Not for food stamps. Nothing. I mean, there are times where I should have, but I didn't. And I'm not faulting anybody who does. Anybody who does take on the, like I said, partake of the welfare or anything like that. The ones that irritate me are the ones that are constantly on this welfare. They aren't doing anything to improve their situation. Like, I can understand circumstances that are beyond your control. Like I said, like a job loss, or you are permanently physically disabled, or you're mentally disabled. Like there's a neighbor kid that lives. I call him a kid, but he's actually only a year older than I am. But his mindset is literally that of a child. He lives a couple houses down the street from me, and yeah, he gets a welfare check, but he's incapable of really doing much of anything on his own. It's something that he can't help. I'm not sure if he had like an umbilical cord wrapped around his throat or something like that when he was still in the womb, or what happened, but like I said, crazy things like that happens. All right. Maine is great on guns. Northern part is all flat and grain farms. Like I said, the only problem about living in either Maine or Alaska, though, you're going to have a really, really short growing season. And I don't know if any of you guys watch Ice Age Farmer. There's a YouTuber there's a YouTuber by the name of Ice Age Farmer. If you haven't watched him, highly suggest it. But him talking about the grand solar minimum and then the potential of a pole shift here in the near future. Right now, the if you notice the winter times, they're getting a little bit longer, and they're getting to be a little bit more chaotic. The seasons get a little bit more chaotic. Like here, friggin', we didn't actually start getting some real, like, no joke snow until like the middle of March. So I don't know, like I said. And then also, apparently, Maine, they don't recognize my reciprocity for my concealed carry permit. If I get my concealed carry permit, they won't recognize my Colorado concealed carry permit. All right. If Missouri passes their new bill, it will be the only state in the union not recognized. But yeah, no, you know what? I applaud them for doing that. I'm surprised that they're the ones taking the lead. I'm surprised it wasn't like Arizona or Kansas. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right, Walter. Welfare is not supposed to be a career. It's not. But these people, they don't understand. Their freaking welfare checks. It's just adding to all this. It's adding to all this. It's coming from the taxpayers. Come from our hard-earned efforts here. I think it's still in the process of getting past there, Frank Perns. I'm not sure. But either way, you know what? That would be a great model to, like I said, that would be a great model. The only thing that does worry me, though, if Missouri is the one that does pass this, does that mean, like other states like California and Connecticut, are they gonna like not recognize? I mean, they already don't recognize the Second Amendment in the U.S. Constitution, will that be a further excuse for them to not recognize it? I mean, Missouri is obviously they're like I said, they're already showing that, like I said, they're 100% support of the Second Amendment. So okay, yeah, okay. I take it, Walter. The reason why they encourage the I'm assuming probably open and concealed carry out in the backwoods is because of black bear. That'd be my only guess. Mandatory for every citizen to own an AR-15 and a 9mm, and it'll be paid for. Oh man, it almost makes me want to move back there. I used to live there. I'm not kidding you, but I didn't have very good experience living out there. Walter, political refugee. But I thought Pennsylvania was a little bit more easygoing. I know New Jersey. Oh, freaking yeah! Good luck getting a gun over there. I thought Pennsylvania was a little bit more easygoing because I went to back in 2017, July 2017. Antifa had threatened that they were going to deface and destroy the Civil War graves over there at the Civil War Memorial in was it Gettysburg, and what was his name? It was Delaware Prepper. I know John Prepared Mind Channel brought this up. They said that there were some people that were scheduling a get together to put a stop to that. And like I said, I know I attended it. I attended it because I wanted to be the counter protest. Well, ironically enough, the Antifa, they never showed up, but like I said, there were a lot of true red-blooded Americans out there that were going to prevent, desecration of those graves. And I was out there too, but I wasn't really armed with anything except for a can of pepper spray. Uh, but there were guys out there, like there was like 12 different militias out there. There were guys out there like completely tacked out, like carrying plate carriers, AR-15s, AKMs, handguns, rifles, shotguns. Like it was open carry, like no joke. Hey, just ate. All right. Howdy. Well, I don't. All right. So what was it Philly? Well, I'm trying to think of the other. Yeah. So Philly, or should say Pittsburgh. See, outside of Pittsburgh, like I said, I know Pittsburgh. It's a blue city. Like you never notice a lot of these red states that got blue cities. Like Missouri's got St. Louis and Kansas City. Those two cities are pretty blue. Actually, I would say Kansas City is probably purple, but uh, St. Louis is definitely blue. And Nebraska, Lincoln is the blue city, and Omaha is the purple city. So I don't run from a fight. I'll fight here instead of leaving the country. Yeah. Well, like I said, the only thing that's going to worry me is, like I said, when they decide they're going to go ahead and collect on this, what's going to happen? That's the only thing that worries me. And yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah. I mean, if you turn tail and run, where are you going to run to? Who are you going to run to? I guess it's a good, good point. But did you get my message? Yeah. No, seriously, stop the foreign aid. Yeah. Well, here's the thing that pissed me off. So we were attempting to send in foreign aid over there to Venezuela, and it got stopped. I think the foreign aid got burned. regardless of what you might think about what may or may not be going on in Venezuela, I can tell you right now, us getting involved, it's not for the benefit of the Venezuelans. Okay, us sending them aid, it's not for the benefit of the Venezuelan people. It's to benefit us, for oil, for money. Hey there, Just Aid. Hey, I'm gonna see if I can't try sending you a message. I don't know if this thing is gonna send. I tried sending this link over to LS and it didn't work. I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna try sending it to myself real quick here. Well, I could try sending it to you real quick. Hang on. Oh, what the heck? Yeah, I don't hardly ever use my Gmail. Hang on. Yeah. It's not working. All right, Justin, I'm gonna see if I can't try sending this message here. Hang on. I'm gonna send you both of these links. I don't know, like I said, one of these links is gonna work. I hope. Yeah, let me know if you got either one of them links. But anyhow. Okay. Should I have a question for everyone? Does everyone else here watch Dead? Yeah, I watched Dabu 7 every once in a while. Yeah, no, he's all right. Like I said, I've been watching him shoot probably for about 2 almost 3 years now. He's got some stuff he talks about's a little bit out there, but not, not much different in regards to like what Alex Jones will talk about sometimes. I'm not saying that Alex Jones and Dabu 7 are the same, because they're not. They're two, like I said, they're two entirely different entities. In fact, Dabu 7, I know he doesn't like Alex Jones, but that's besides the point. But like I said, some stuff they talk about, like it does get a little bit out there. You really, I don't know. Sometimes I have to tone it down. I think you have to Google. I don't know how to get the Google Hangouts to work. That's the thing. I might have to. I do apologize. I might have to, after I'm done with the stream, I might have to go and look, see if there's like some kind of how-to video tutorial how to invite people to Google Hangouts, because they changed everything for one, and then secondly, I said I've only done this is only like the third stream I've ever done. Let's see. Let's see. I watched until he goes on crack. About story. I go back to watching when it's out of his system. Yeah, no. I said he really does get pretty far out there. Like I said, I'm not, but there is that one skeptical side of me that wonders whether or not people like Dabu7 and Alex Jones, it makes me wonder whether or not they're on to something, whether or not they're right. There's got to be something. There's got to be something to this story. Everything's based on some small amount of truth. Like, I think what they call it, like, what was it, like 9 truths and a lie or something like that. But when are we all going to have a coup? What do you mean by coup? When are we all going to have a coup? Oh, I mean coup. Okay, I see. Sorry, coup. Government coup. My bad. Coup. I'm like coop. I'm like chicken coop. Sorry, my bad. I don't know. I think if we have a coup, it probably won't be for the benefit of us, and most definitely tell you it probably won't be for the benefit of President Trump. Whether or not you like the guy, whether or not you support the guy, unfortunately, whether you like him or not, he is your duly elected president. I didn't like Obama when he was in office, and you didn't hear me. I didn't say a whole lot, but man, didn't mean I liked it. But I don't know. Like I said, if we have a coup, it might not be for the benefit of us either. What about Woodward TV? You give some interesting history. I haven't watched that yet. I've been watching True TV. I watch a little bit of Dabu7 here and there. I haven't really been watching hardly any InfoWars after they took them down because I have an InfoWars app downloaded to one of my phones and it doesn't work. It's kind of glitchy, and his website is not real good either. Okay, give me a second here. Say overthrow an existing government by a small group. No. I knew what you meant by that. The coin. I was pronouncing it as coup, not a coup. I know what a coup d'état is. Okay. Let's see. I think the economy will come back. The Dems will lose by a lot. Chances. Here's the thing that bothers me. See, this country, we are supposed to be a multi-cameral country. So that means we're supposed to have more than just 2 parties. We're supposed to be more than a 2-party system. And that's the thing. It's either going to be a Democrat or it's going to be a Republican in office. You'll very, very seldomly ever see, like a Tea Party or Independent or Green Party, whatever the heck you want to call it. This country needs to have 4 parties. It really does. It needs to have at least 4 parties to be multi-cameral. I don't like this whole Democrat, Republican. It's all it's, as everybody says, it's all the same. The same 2 wings. It's the same 2 wings to the same bird. Okay. I think the parties. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just not too impressed with them. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know Woodward or Bernstein. Truth No Fiction also. Is that a channel here on YouTube or? Hmm. I'll have to go. Yeah, if you can give me some information, like I said, I don't know if I do apologize there, Just Date. This stream, you weren't here for like the first 20 minutes of it. It wasn't working. This whole stream wasn't working. But here, actually, what did I do with that remote here? Okay, I'm gonna bring up the. World debt clocks here. All right, Just Aid, that's your country right there. 3.5 billion US dollars in debt, or 2.7 3.5 trillion, my bad. 3.5 trillion, or 2.7 trillion pounds in debt. Does that sound about right? Does that sound about right there, Just Aid? Probably. I don't suppose your guys' country really talks much about its national debt. Our country, it seems to be. I don't remember it being brought up much as a kid growing up, but I know like later on when I got into college and after I joined the military, and then after getting out of the military, I noticed they've been talking a lot more about our national debt, and then they keep talking about how we owe so much money to China. I'm not finding a whole lot that my country owes to China other than the $1.1 trillion we owe everyone. I don't know, like, I guess that wouldn't surprise me, especially if some of this debt is debt that was occurred from World War II, because I do remember that the U.S. did loan out a lot of hardware to not only the U.K., but pretty much to a lot of the other European nations and China and Russia to defeat the Germans and the Japanese. There are the reporters who broke or made up the Watergate story for the Washington. I want to know. All right, I'm actually glad you brought up the whole Watergate thing. I wonder if they brought that up to cover up what actually happened, what Nixon actually did, which you could consider being treasonous. How he took the back in 1971, President Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. So this is no longer backed with gold or silver. There are treasury bond holdings of foreign countries, and there are also unfunded liabilities for domestic welfare. Well, actually, I do. Like I say, I have been hearing stories like Japan. I think Japan, like I said, Japan. I'm not sure if it was France. I know Japan was one of the countries. There's another there's a couple other countries that were actually selling off the bonds that they bought from us. They bought from us, and now all that money's coming back, and now we got more money in the system. And what I mean by that is now there's more of this free money floating around, currency, and the Federal Reserve isn't raising the interest rates to kind of suck it up, so that way it's not causing this inflation. Because, like I said, you know, when this, like I said, when something like this is rare, like I said, that's when it has a lot of value. But when it costs you a lot more of these, like when you got like a lot more of these laying around and stuff like that, then it starts to lose its value. So that's, I know, like I said, some of the countries they are selling they are selling some of the U.S. bonds. That much I do know. See, I did not know that, Brian. I did not know that. I do know that JFK did two things that would have been considered a no-no for any president. One, he threatened to, and this is a paraphrased quote for what he said. He threatened to break up the CIA into like 1,000 pieces. And then he also threatened, I think, like I say, he threatened the central banks. something along those lines. Like I said, but those two things, if you're a president or if you're anybody with any power, any real significant power, that's something that you don't do unless you got a death warrant. Can we just print more money? Well, that's the problem there. We've been printing a lot of money. The problem is, if you print more of this money, you got more of this crap floating around, it debases itself. It loses value. That's the problem. It's losing its value. You get more of this crap floating around. It's not going to be worth it. It's going to be like look back in your history. I believe it was after World War I. Germans, okay? The Germans, they printed off they had their currency called the Reichsmark. They printed off like thousands and thousands of these Reichsmark bills. They were like, 100 Reichsmark notes, okay? We would call them $100 notes here in the US, but they call it, 100 Reichsmark notes. A person with a stack of those, a whole wheelbarrow full of those, they couldn't buy a loaf of bread with those because they completely debased their own currency because they printed way too much money. That's the problem. This fiat currency is literally not worth anything on its own. It's not tied to anything. It's not based on anything. It used to be based on oil at one point in time. That was what Richard Nixon put our currency on. Okay, we were on a gold standard. And then he put us on the petrodollar. Right now, I don't think that, if I'm correct, I don't believe the dollar is backed by anything at all. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Got family members calling me at the wrong time of night. Yeah. China taking with the Soviets, but nuclear missile limits. Set up the EPA. See, that much I don't know. Like I said, I don't know all that. I just know that our currency is not based on anything, and that's the problem. In order for something to have value, it's gotta be useful. It's gotta have some rarity to it. Kind of like the reason why gold and silver are worth something, especially gold. Why it's at over $1,300 an ounce. It's got to be worth something. And on top of that, the reason why gold, like I said, it's rare. It's rare. It's really hard to find. There's a lot of energy put into just mining just 1 ounce of gold out of the earth. Okay. But that's one of the reasons why we can't keep printing off this fiat currency. That's one of the reasons why we can't be generating this electronic fiat currency that we got on this stupid screen back here. We're debasing our currency. Makes me wonder. Like I said, it makes me wonder. Like I said, I think Alex Jones, some of these people, I think they really are into something. I'm going to see if I can't. Give me a second here. I'm going to see if I can't access something out of my safe. Or actually, no. Wrong. Actually, I don't need to go to my safe. That reminds me. So, I do carry with me some actual pieces of wealth here. I doubt the computer's camera is going to be able, but these are I got two silver buffaloes here I keep in my wallet. Yeah, this one's not. But at one point in time, our money used to be based on this. You can't print these off, okay? You can't print these off. That's why these have value. You can't print these off. However many silver coins you have, or however much silver or however much gold you have, is however much you have. You can't print that stuff off. You can't print it off. That's why it has money. Why it has value. Okay. Started a Green Beret. That's what one of his intended uses for him was to neutralize the CIA. That's why the Green Beret School is called JFK School. Did not know that. That's interesting. That's what family members are best at. Let's see. We were on the gold standard on paper only by the time Nixon took over. You know what? To answer your question there, the coin, or is it the Con 2020? Yeah, you can have those. Just go on to American Precious Metal Exchange and you can buy them yourself. They're like, I think I bought those for like $14 a piece. I actually spent the evening with John Dean. He told me when SHTF happens, gold and silver will mean nothing to me, only food. That's the way I am, man. That is exactly the way I am. All right. For real this time. Get in the safe, okay? It's exactly the way I am. You didn't see my previous videos, did you? That's why I have these. That's why I've got thousands and thousands of rounds. These right here. These to me in SHTF are going to be worth their weight in gold. Okay? This right here. Obviously, this is just 12-gauge shotgun shells, but yeah. And honestly, so like I said, there's a lot of debate out there, okay? There's a lot of debate whether or not gold and silver is going to be worth anything in SHTF. It depends on the SHTF situation for the most part. And then I guess it depends on how long is the duration going to be for the SHTF event, okay? Like in the first stages of SHTF, yeah, gold and silver probably not going to be really worth much of anything, okay? Other than a fancy paperweight. When the stock market goes up, currency is formed by air. Yep. When it drops, it vanishes. The Fed has to print enough to keep it at a high enough level for global trade. Yeah, no joke. You know, if they would have just let the damn thing crash back in 2008, we probably wouldn't be sitting here continually talking about the stock market. And actually, you know, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. Okay, so little do people know, okay, the stock market crash of 1929, okay, the Great Depression. A lot of people, there's a lot of historians, a lot of, you know, like I said, there's a lot of conjecture out there saying that it ended in like 1940 or 1941 when World War One, or I mean, not World War One, when World War II started. But there's actually some sources I looked at that actually say, like I said, I looked this up a while ago, but they actually say that the effects of the Great Depression were felt all the way up till about 1952. So imagine, you know, that was 23 years. 23 years after that Great Depression. Anyhow. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I thought so too. I've also got some aluminum and steel cased ammo too. Most of my stuff is brass. Let's see. Believe investing in brass. Yeah, No, really. I mean, you know, freaking the stock market could crash tomorrow. Our our federal currency could be debased completely tomorrow, be worth absolutely nothing. I'm still going to have this, and I'm still going to have this. These are still going to be in my possession. They're not going to go away. Okay, they're not going to go away. I don't have this other stuff with me because it's in my food storage, but stock up on spices for food. Stock up on sugar. Stock up on salt. Stock up on honey, man. That stuff back before the time of mechanized agriculture. That stuff, a person. You're right. I don't know if you was it. I think there was a terminology. I think it was like, was it worth its weight in salt or something like that? But back in the day, if you worked in the salt mines, a person would get paid, and they get paid their daily wages in salt because salt was worth something. Salt was worth its weight in gold. Yeah, no, knowledge is good to have. Uh, I got some knowledge. Most of my knowledge though is based on simple mechanics and carpentry. I figure that's what I'd probably end up being is some kind of a hybrid between a carpenter, a mechanic, and maybe an electrician and WRLSHTF. Yeah, if I knew how to swage bullets, I would probably stock up on copper, but I don't know how to swage bullets. Copper would be excellent to have for bullet swaging if you could swage um, a copper jacketed bullet. Raw unfiltered honey. Yeah, I hear people saying that all the time. You know what? I think out of all my honey, maybe one or two bottles of it might be raw. I think the raw unfiltered honey, I think that's the honey that you can use for medicinal purposes. I'm sure there's some medicinal purposes even for regular honey. Just don't go out and buy that honey flavored syrup. That stuff that's not any good. Round of gold or pound of black pepper during Roman times. Yeah, there was wars fought over. Yes, yes, yes. You're right. There were wars fought over spices there, Walter. I brought this up. I think what was it? I think even back in the 17th and early 18th century, back when Spain was bringing back, doing their trade, they're bringing spices and stuff across the ocean, from South America. Like I think what was it, cocoa beans and coffee beans. You know, like I said, when the pirates first tried to raid those ships, they didn't know what that stuff was. Like, what the heck is this? Goat droppings, and they burned these ships. They didn't realize they were burning, what would essentially be, at those times probably be, millions upon millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars worth of goods right there. They're just burning it because they're angry. They're expecting they're going to be raiding a Spanish galleon full of gold or silver, Aztec gold or silver or something like that. And no, they're bringing back cocoa beans. Got paid. Yes, yes, they did. You're right, Justin Dave. Mill and a lathe. Okay, I'm a little confused where you're going at, Brian. Where are you going with this? A mill and a lathe. All right, yeah. Good night, Sid Dad. Sid's dad. Sorry. Yeah, guys. I do apologize. Like I says, this stream, I wanted to invite some people, but apparently I don't know how to work the controls on this stupid thing. Oh, manufactured parts. Okay. That's a lot of freaking copper, though. That's a lot of copper to be milling down to, small little projectiles. You see, I would have thought that maybe you would take that copper, you'd flatten it out into like a really thin plate. Because I've seen bullet swaging. Okay, if you don't know what bullet swaging is, basically what you take is you take like either like a copper round or like a really thin copper plate or something like that, like really thin. You punch it into like a generalized shape, and then you get like a measured out amount of lead behind that. Be like, I don't know, like I'm just going to throw out some numbers. We're going to say like 55 grains of lead with, I don't know, like 7 grains of copper plate. Okay. The copper plate's stamped into like a kind of like a basic cylindrical shape. And then you drop this piece of lead in behind it. And then you swage that, you run it through this machine, this press. Okay. And it would press it into the shape of a bullet. And depending on which way you run that copper and the lead through, you can either make hollow points or ball ammo. But that was my impression when you initially said copper. I was thinking like swaging bullets. If I knew how to swage my own bullets, man, that'd be freaking awesome right now. To manufacture parts, border projectile. Let's see. Yeah, you can do quite a bit with the drill press. That's one of those tools that's been on my list of tools I've been needing to get is a drill press. Yeah, you could. You could definitely melt all that copper shavings back in the to a solid copper block again, but you got to think about how much energy though you're going to be using up though when you're trying to mill out all those solid copper bullets. Think about how many British thermal units it takes to heat up that copper into a molten a molten mess that you can pour back into a rod, or even get hot enough so that way you can, if you have to, take a hammer and an anvil and forge it back into a rod. But how much energy it's going to take? How much? I don't know if you're using like an electric foundry or if you're using a propane powered foundry, but that takes energy to melt all that down, and it also takes energy to run that lathe to mill all those copper rods and the bullets. I did watch a YouTube video. This guy over in Australia, he takes old scrap copper wiring, and he takes all the insulation off of it, and he melts it down inside of his it's called a devil forge. It's basically it's a metal foundry, and it melts down all this copper wire into molten copper, and he pours it out into these little molds and makes these little copper discs. Anyhow, let's see. I understand from Afghans that giant blood is poison. Yeah, I heard that. I heard actually, I think there's something in the Bible about that too. So I want to try putting steel piece of rod to lead 12 gauge. That's something I would like to do. I would actually like to be able to make my own armor piercing deer slugs. The difference between a regular deer slug, Walter, and a armor piercing one is the armor piercing one actually has like a steel rod molded in the center of the slug, and usually it's a Foster style slug, not a sabot. Yeah, it is everywhere, but again, it's gonna be energy, it's gonna be time. I don't know. I mean, if you do that long enough, I bet you that propane gas or whatever it is that you're using as a fuel source to melt all that copper down, it's probably gonna be worth more than the copper itself. It's a bear killer round. AR-15 really don't have a that much power, at least in regards. Maybe that round was probably used for like an AR-10 because an AR-10 is like a 308. AR-15, it's a glorified 22 long rifle. That's what it is. I don't know what a two burn furnace is. Compatible to a 4570. So I'm assuming like a 45 grain projectile with 70 grains of powder behind it. Yeah, but like I said, 22, like I said, it doesn't have a whole lot of power. Like it's effective enough for taking out two-legged targets, but if you ever notice, most states they don't allow you to do any hunting with AR-15s. It has to be something bigger, like a 308, because it just don't have enough power. You'd be causing the animal some quote unquote undue suffering. So I don't know. Like I said, AR-10. That would be my guess. I've seen solid copper rounds for like home defense and stuff like that, but they really weren't solid. They were actually like hollow point ammo. I've seen like 12 gauge. I think I've seen like 12 gauge slugs that were copper, all copper. Smoky fire in chamber and the second fire in chamber that burns the smoke. Very high. Like I said, this is stuff that's it's beyond my pay grade there, Walter. I don't like I said. I've only like I said the only stuff that I've seen is stuff that I'm familiar with. You know, things that I've seen personally. Like I said, this is all kind of new stuff to me. Okay, function 20 rounds. That don't surprise me. That copper amel's not cheap. What do you think of the five set? I don't. I've never heard of that cartridge. The only guns I've ever fired, the only guns I own that take this kind of ammo, like I said, I've only fired 45 auto. I've only fired 12 gauge. I've only fired 5.56 223. And while I was in the Navy, I was fortunate enough to get to fire a 9 millimeter. Okay, and I got to fire. It was at 7.62 by I think it was either 5.1 or 5.4. I think it was what it was. I want to say it was 5.4. I could be wrong. It came out of a what the heck did they call it? It was a Mark. It was a Mark 48 light machine gun, and then I got to fire a 22 long rifle. I've never heard of the 5.7 by 28. Like I said, it's kind of an oddball caliber, man. It's like somebody saying, talking about how great I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there. How great a 32 caliber revolver is. I don't think that there was really anybody who hardly makes 32. Like I said, it's kind of like I said, it's an oddball. It was a 51. So it's a 51 caliber. I've heard of a 51 caliber. I think like there was like a Russian machine gun or something that uses like a 51 caliber projectile. Okay, well, the FNP 90, I think that's a what you call a class 3 weapon. That's something I don't have. That's something I couldn't afford. FM 57 pistol. Like I said, these are oddball guns either I've never heard of, or they're guns that I've kind of heard of, but I know that they're expensive. Okay, 7.62 is equivalent to a 308 run. Is it the 5.4 that's equivalent to a 30-06? Is it the 7.62 by 5.4 that's equivalent to a 30-06? I think that's. They make them in semi-auto versions. Yeah, see, there you go. I couldn't afford that, man. $1,200. I'm going to tell you right now, every single gun I've ever purchased. All right, the one AR-15 I've got, after all the parts and modifications I put on it over time, it's probably worth a little over $1,200, maybe $1,400. But I never spent that kind of money when I first bought it. I bought it for like $700 brand new. FNFL, M14, M60. Yep, that sounds about right. M134A. Yeah, every single gun right there that you just listed off right there, just date, is a class 3 weapon. A weapon that I couldn't afford in my lifetime unless I won the lottery. And not the same as a 30-06. It's a Russian. Oh, it's a Russian round. Okay, so it is the 5.1 that is the. Actually, I think I got some of the shell casings. Here's actually some of the shell casings and links from that gun that I fired. These are the exact same shell casings and links left over from that gun that I got to shoot that day when I was in the Navy. So, this is from the Mark 48 light machine gun. This gun replaced the Mark 42 and the M60 for the Navy. Let's see. Secret Service switched to 5.7 by 28. I think the Secret Service, didn't they have Uzis at one time? Heavier round. Can be loaded to, yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know the 30-06 is more powerful than the 308. I'm well aware of that. Found a Spanish Mauser from South America that was chambered for 308, about $200. Actually, funny that you mentioned that there, Walter. Actually, one of the Vietnam vets that I talked to, he used to be my neighbor, but we're just kind of friends now. He actually has, I think he has that Spanish Mauser from the Spanish-American War chambered in 308. He showed it to me. And they're light machine guns. I thought the Dragunov was like a semi-automatic rifle. The Dragunov, I thought it was like a semi-automatic, typically used as like a scoped rifle, a sniper rifle. Classic bolt gun, no surplus motion guns. Okay. It's a 24-inch sniper weapon system, Dragunov. It's semi-auto. Yeah, I didn't think it was classified as a machine gun, because in order for something to be classified as a machine gun, it has to be able to fire off multiple rounds per single trigger pull, per single actuation of the trigger. That's what I should say. Dragunov's real nice. I wouldn't doubt it. Never got to fire one, never got to see one in real life, but I got to use one when I was playing a video game. think it's a curio relic and a relic of glass. Give me a second. I'm gonna shut this thing off. I'll turn that off and I'm gonna move this thing over here. Alrighty. Cost you about $8,000 if you can find one. All right. Well, again, more money than what I'm willing to spend. Did I tell you when I went to Dragon Man's, and if those of you who don't know who Dragon Man's is, I went to Dragon Man's. It's a gun range out here in Colorado. He was actually featured on Larry the Cable Guy's TV show on History Channel called Only in America. But he actually had a what was it, a Mac 11. So it's a submachine gun. It's I believe it's chambered in 45 auto, but submachine gun, like no joke, legitimate class 3 submachine gun for I think it was like $7,500. That's unheard of, by the way. And almost every single machine gun that you run across here in the United States, every single classified machine gun is going to run you a minimum of at least $20,000. Do you have Warface? What's Warface? Or do you mean, do I have a Warface? Yeah. Yeah. No joke. I've already seen what he has. It's like, man, he must have been buying all those guns prior to the 1986 machine gun ban. 380, 9mm, 45. I thought it was like Mac 10 was like 9mm. And then the Mac 11 was 45. Oh, PS4. Okay. No, I do not have Warface. I've got Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's what I've been playing. Guys shoot full auto. Out my way. Everything from a saw to to a 50 cal. Yeah. See, I would love to have an M60. I really would. Or even a Mark 42. Mark 42, or either they call it a Mark 43. I can't remember anymore. It's the two guns look identical. Okay. The Mark 42 is a shorter version of the M60. It's the Navy variant of the M60. That's what I would love to have. I'd love to have an M60. Okay, so it's a different. Okay, so it's like the difference between an AK-47 and Type 56, right? Am I right? Am I right there, Brian? Guy shooting his law rockets. How the hell? Man, I don't know where. See, I knew Pennsylvania was a gun-friendly state there, Walter. I knew it was a gun-friendly state. Now, my next question is, where the hell are people getting law rockets? Where the hell are people getting grenade launchers? I seen a B&D 37mm ordnance launcher, but it's technically classified as a what do you call it? A smoke gun or a flare gun. It's not considered an actual ordnance launcher until you buy real no joke ordnance for it. Browning M2s are fun, but even mounted on a striker, it rocked. Yeah, I bet. I would rather have an M60 though, because at least I could carry that around. I could carry that around. I could carry a Mark 48 around. Well, I'm surprised Wes S didn't get on. I know Mrs. West got on briefly. Let's see. AK-47, different year models. Your subtle changes. Type 56. Yeah, I know. I know Chinese. Yeah, it's a. I thought it was a stamped receiver. I thought the Type 56 was a stamped receiver. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, it don't matter whether, like I said, it's the AK-47, Type 56, AKM. What the heck do they call it? The two the what the heck do they call it? 1063 or gosh damn, I'm trying to think of the. There's so many different makes and models of the quote unquote AK-47 or the AK platform. Like I said, they're all about the same to me. I mean, yeah, I guess there are some differences. I thought the original Russian AK-47 was the one that had the milled out receiver. I know just about every single AK I've seen in person, they've got the stamped sheet metal receiver. Type 56 is an AK. I thought the Type 56. I'm gonna double check that real quick here. I'm pretty sure Type 56 is a AK. Oh, I'm seeing images of an AK-47. Yeah, Type 56, Norinco. See here on Wikipedia, even though I don't really like using Wikipedia all that much, it says assault rifle, the variant Soviet designed AK-47, AKM assault rifles production started in 1956. Factory 66 eventually handed over to Norinco. Yeah, Norinco. I remember hearing that company. I thought freaking Winchester got bought out by Norinco. I'm not sure. Anyhow, Norinco Type 56 AK-47. All right, good night, Frank. Yeah, slightly more different from the Russian parts. Will not interchange. That doesn't surprise me too much. There's a lot of debates out there which platform is more superior, the AR-15 slash M16 platform or the AK-47 platform. And I'm actually under the impression the AR platform is superior to the AK because here's where I'm going with this. Okay, starting price for an AR-15, like just basic plain Jane AR-15, going to be between $400 and $500. Plain Jane AK-47, brand new, you're looking at about $600. And then to try to build an AK versus build an AR-15, I already watched a video. This guy freaking milled out this receiver for this AR-15, this low receiver. He even goofed it up a little bit too. Put it together with all cheap AR-15 parts, just a hodgepodge of different parts, and fired it. It worked just fine. Where if you try to do the same thing with an AK-47, because the tolerances are so ridiculous on an AK, you just couldn't get away with doing that. Anyway, well, hang on. I don't think you're entirely wrong there, Walter. There might be. Hang on. There might be. I'm gonna type in SKS Type 56. Okay. I bet you something might come up. There might have been two different types of Type 56s. I'm not sure. No. Yeah, like I said, you might not be wrong. I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm not too familiar with the Russian hardware. I'm really not. Hell, I'm not that familiar with guns entirely. I only know what I know from what firearms I own. So hey, Robert and Cindy Moore, how's it going? Yeah, you kind of missed out on us discussing a little bit about the our deficit here in the United States, how we owe over $22 trillion. What do you think is going to happen there, Robert, Cindy Moore? What do you think is going to happen when they decided they're going to, the Federal Reserve, the Chinese, and whoever else we owe this debt to? What do you think is going to happen when they decide you're going to collect on that debt? I've already kind of put out my prediction. I think that they're going to go ahead and use everyone as collateral. They're going to use our properties as collateral. Henceforth, like I said, they're going to use us as collateral. Henceforth, why we got assigned social security numbers at birth. Every gun different for every different purpose, used for the right purpose, and you'll get correct performance. Yeah, yeah, I agree. You're on the money there, Brian. Walter, let's see, for a lot of them, gonna win probably. I'm mistaken. I don't know. Really don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not entirely familiar with the Russian caliber of firearms. I'm not, like I said, I'm not familiar with the Russian firearms. I only know a handful of Russian firearms and maybe a couple variants of some Russian firearms. Like I know that there's such thing called the RPG-7, which is Russian. I know there's such things called the AK-47. There's this thing called the Makarov pistol, which is chambered in 9x18. But that much, like I said, that's about the extent of my knowledge. And then the Russian SKS. You thought that Trump was going to reset? You mean reset the economy? Like reset the debt? I don't know if that guy even has that kind of power. If you put together even like all the top richest billionaires here in the United States, which would be like freaking Jeff Bezos at like $112 billion. Um, friggin' what the heck was his name? I'm trying to think of his name. Warren, no, not Warren Buffett. I think Warren Buffett's at 70 billion. Bill Gates is at like 95 billion or 92 billion. I'm not sure. I think Mark Zuckerberg might be at 75 billion, and Trump is at like 3.1 billion. But I mean, if you were to put those guys together, like if they said they're going to try to pay off even like a percentage of the debt, they couldn't even pay off 1%. That wouldn't even add up to $1 trillion. Anyway, ghost guns are probably the reason why AR prices went down. Jigs started getting mass produced. You can build a SIG Glock 1911, AR-15, AR-10, AK-47. I I kind of knew about the AKs because I'd seen like the blanks for the receivers that you could stamp. Like I said, I looked at those. I didn't know about the Sig Sauer, the Glock, and the 1911. I didn't know that they had their own jigs. I didn't know you could make ghost guns of those. The AR-10 doesn't surprise me one bit because it's not really any different from the AR-15 because the only major difference is the fact that it's chambered in 308 instead of 5.56. My dad has 3 SKSs and 2 AKs. He won't let them go, and I'm not waiting for him to die. Hey, don't tell us your plans. Don't tell me you're gonna commit a felony and do a B&E. And when I say B&E, I don't mean a bacon and eggs. SKS is a better gun than the AK, in my opinion. Again, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have a horse in that race. Takes more time to build an AK and a 1911 AR-15 AR-10 is quick to make. Lock poly 80s are the quickest. Like I said, I didn't know they had a milling kit. You know, that makes me wonder though, because they've got all right, they got a polymer lower as well as an aluminum lower for the ARs. Do they have an aluminum lower that you can make into a ghost gun of a Glock? I do know, like I said, Glocks are primarily all polymer, but I want to know if they make an aluminum. That'd be kind of cool. Aluminum framed Glock. Oh, I used to sell guns at gun shows. Well, hey, Robert and Cindy Moore, didn't you hear what former President Obama used to say? He used to say that getting guns is easier than getting a library card. You know, all you have to do is get the gun show deal, and you can avoid the background check, and you can get yourself a fully automatic machine gun. Yeah, they shoot better. Well, you know what? If I get a chance to shoot both an AK and an SKS, I will tell you, Walter. I will. You know, I can neither agree nor disagree with you on that statement. If I get a chance to shoot both of those guns, I will let you know. Not yet, come to market, but. Oh, I'm right. I'm right. Am I right about that? Was President Obama right? Oh, SKS is better. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. On the S Sife of Chicago, Obama was. Oh, on the S. Oh, yeah, on the south side of Chicago. Yeah. No, he didn't. He didn't. It's still the murder capital of the United States. And yeah, freaking, I drove through Chicago numerous times when I was over the road truck driver. I don't like that state. That whole state, Illinois, all they can go to hell. I don't care. Don't want to go there ever again. Costs a lot more to make an aluminum Glock lowers at this point, so it will cost more to build than buying a standard Glock. Well, I think a standard Glock is like what, $600, I guess. Well, I mean, like I was looking at some. I think what was it, Glock 19s or something like that. I think those are the police issue Glocks. I think they were like $600. Yep. I would like to get a Glock. I ended up getting like I said, I wanted to get a Glock, but instead I ended up getting the Springfield instead. This was like almost $100 or almost $200 cheaper than the Glock. I wanted to get I still do want to get a Glock, but I'll probably get like a police issue 9mm Glock. Yeah. Well, to each their own there, Robert and Cindy Moore. This gun's been a good gun for me. You know, you can't please everyone. I've seen the Blues Brothers movies between the Illinois State Police and the Nazis. Steer clear. Yeah, the Blues Brothers movie that was almost 40 years ago. Almost 40 years ago. Like no joke. I think that movie came out in 1980. I'm lucky. Like I said, I came real close. I came real close to getting a Glock. I'm still probably going to get a Glock eventually. I'm still probably going to end up getting a Glock, but it's going to have to be like a police issue Glock. That's what I'm looking for. I think most of the police around here is sheriff's department and I think the city nearby they use. I think everybody uses Glocks. If I'm not mistaken. Any gun is good if you take care of it. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of like how like my opinion on vehicles. Okay, so there's some people that say, oh, Chevy's better than a Ford. Ford's better than a Chevy. Blah 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 blah. You see that Chevy it freaking broke down. Blah 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 blah. Or this Ford, just piece of shit and everything. Sorry, I didn't mean to put that language out. But I mean, like, my opinion is, it don't matter whether or not something is designed to last or be good or whatever, be this quality or that quality. If you don't take care of it, it's not going to last. It's just going to break down. Same goes for guns. Brian, how much are you looking to spend on a police trade? Uh well, to be honest with you, I'm probably looking at brand new, but you know what? If I can get a good deal, I don't know. Like I said, I guess whatever comes my way. If I can find something better than $600, then I'll take that. I don't care if it's a little bit used. Like I said, the brand new ones are like $600. Got Jimmy's 9. Cheap ass piece of metal. Outshot guys with tricked out Berettas. Practice. Yeah. Practice and maintenance is key. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think there's a old saying. I think there's like a saying out there. The guy. You should fear the guy with one gun versus the guy who has multiple guns, because the guy with one gun is going to be much more familiar with this one single firearm and much more proficient with this single firearm than the guy with multiple guns. But I think as previously stated, every gun has a purpose. Used in the right circumstances, it's a very efficient weapon. Very efficient tool. .40 cal Glocks. I'm looking for 9mm, man. I'm looking for 9mm. Not looking for the 40 cal. Not looking for 45. I'm looking for 9mm. 9mm, 9x19. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. 9x19 NATO. Because my thought process on being able to own a police issue Glock is when shit does finally hit the fan. If things got real bad for me and I had to go, like, heaven forbid, I had to go out and scavenge for ammo, 9mm, like 9x19, is probably going to be one of your most common rounds. Okay, next to like 22 long rifle and like 380. Yeah, that's the way I am. I keep almost everything I have, with the exception of my 2 handguns. Okay, everything I have is NATO. Everything I have is NATO issue. Okay, the AR-15s can either take 223 or 5.56 NATO. The 12 gauge shotgun is a NATO round. 12 gauge round. Like I said, heaven forbid. Like I said, the whole point of having a police issue Glock, because Glock is like literally it's like the Toyota Camry of handguns. Okay, it's so ubiquitous. Okay, finding parts for that, especially if you get something that's police issue, finding parts, spare magazines, gonna be a piece of cake. It's gonna be not like I said, not gonna be, and they're relatively cheap.